think I recently had a conversation that is giving me really good inspiration for this particular talk today, and that is the difference between being a competitor and actually loving to compete. For me, I, l- I love to compete. I love engaging in anything that's going to cause me to grow, to be challenged, and things like that, especially if it's in a finite setting, in a setting where there is typically a winner and a loser. Even if there is a possibility for a tie, there is also a possibility for a winner and a loser. And so there's this reality that I played high Division 1, basketball, and so a lot of people see me as the young competitor that was at that level. And to be completely honest, when I was there, man, I was in such a state of survival mode that I had to be a competitor. I had to. It was literally like my livelihood, so to speak. We're talking about the difference between me being on scholarship and me not being on scholarship. Like when there's a price tag on your ability or on your performance, it puts a little bit more into perspective of whether or not you're performing and doing what you say you're going to do or can do and all of those things. Now that I'm older, I'm 33, it is not paramount at all for me to prove anything to anybody. And that doesn't mean I still don't, game nights and things like that. I love them. I still train jujitsu. I still will play basketball every now and then. But I think this reality of I am not in survival mode anymore. And that just is a different phase of my life. I'm not there. I create out of a joy rather than out of a deficit or a need to prove myself. And that's hard, man. It really is, because when you're in that, everybody against me mode, you know what I'm saying? Like you take yourself there, there's just natural energy that comes from that. The problem is you will stir yourself up so much and you'll have to keep stirring up these storylines that it just becomes exhausting. It really does. And then you'll never feel like you're enough. You'll never feel like the things that you do matter. And then you can't really even enjoy the successes that you have. You can't even really, have the perspective to see what's taking place in front of you. Like you're so out of body, if you will, like in that experience and feeling like I gotta keep, stirring the pot of, like, oh, I gotta prove myself. The reason this comes up very recently is because of, what happened last night with J. Cole at Dreamville Fest. And I'll say it like this: Cole is one of my favorite rappers. I'm not saying he's the greatest or even that he's my favorite rapper of all time. But also context is I'm a rapper and I'm also from the Carolinas. You know what I'm saying? Like Cole put Carolinas on the map in a lot of ways, even down to him doing Dreamville Fest every year in North Carolina. And so I even trying to take my bias out of this, which is impossible to do, I understand where Cole is coming from. I do. He had a moment where he was very much like, I wanna prove myself. You know what I'm saying? Like even to Kendrick, like, nah, man, I got this. I can hold my own. Yada yada yada. And I think where he realized is, he had been, for a lack of a better term, he had all this pent up competition for years, and then he finally started doing features. And now that he's doing features, I feel like he's getting that sense of competition that he's always wanted in its truest sense, in its purest sense, which is what rap is. Like somebody collabs on a track, you want to bring out the best in somebody. The problem comes when you become a competitor and it's, heck, kill or be killed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to flip it into savage mode. And honestly, at that point, you are held responsible for what happens. And, he is a person of influence. He has that platform. I know where I'm at when it comes to this. And I know I'm definitely in the minority of people that both liked his response and, him, willing to spar with Kendrick and whatnot, but also the recollection of like, nah, man, that ain't me. That ain't really what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? And it's very possible to be in both spaces. You know what I'm saying? And because like in that moment, you just I want to show people I'm the top dog. I mean, in his sense, he felt called out. He was very much called out. It wasn't really him. But that's a whole nother conversation. What I gleaned from it and where it's cool to where I am, especially in this current season, is Cole is very much an artist. It's actually kind of funny. I figured out I would consider Drake a pop artist, Cole a hip hop artist, and Kendrick a rapper. Kendrick just got in rap mode and he's like bars after bars, and he's like, I'm coming at you because this is rap. This is what I do. I don't like, this is just part of the game. Cole's like, bet, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, the song's called 7 Minute Drill, which means homie didn't go in and freestyle it. He wrote it just really quick. It's called 7 Minute Drill. If you look at Cole's previous interviews, he talks about, being able to write a verse in 7 minutes. And so he did not spend a whole lot of time on it. But he wanted to complete the task. He wanted to show that he has the ability. And honestly, man, as a creator, it really spoke to me, especially, like I said, in this current season that I'm in right now. It's finding that balance. It's the dichotomy. I first heard that word, with Jocko Willink, and, he had his, book, Extreme Ownership. And then he followed it up with the dichotomy of leadership, which is like, it's not just, default aggressive. And that's one of his core things, but it's like aggressive, and I can't remember what the other thing was, but it was like, don't be stupid, basically. Don't be reckless with what you're doing. Don't be reckless in your endeavors. And that's the part that, a lot of times so many people overthink, and I am definitely an overthinker. You will quickly learn that about me when you see my content and hear me talk. But when I can get in those modes and I can just kind of black out, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm not thinking about anyone, but I can't live in those two extremes. I gotta at least find a closer to the aggressive, to the reckless side, because that is the pushing yourself, the growth out of your comfort zone moment. But I would say never stop competing. I think it's Simon Sinek that talks about the infinite game. And the infinite game is about continuing to play it rather than trying to win it or trying to achieve this status level. And so I think at the end of the day, man, like when it comes to me, I'm still trying to narrow my main thing when it comes to creative. I know my main goal in life is to, bring glory to God through everything that I do and everything that I have. I know that about me. But when it comes to like this particular endeavor, when it comes to creating, I have gifts in music. I have gifts in writing. I have gifts in video, storytelling as a whole, whether it's telling my own story or telling other people's story. I can see things sometimes that other people don't see. And so I can connect dots. And so trying to figure out honestly what my main thing is. Chris Brickley had a post, I think it was sometime this past weekend, and he talked about his main thing, keeping the main thing, and that's developing players. And to do that, he has to continue to watch film. He has to continue to learn and be a student of the game. And I love that. That was really helpful from a perspective standpoint, because he's somebody that is very much in the spotlight because of the amount of, influence he has and impact he has with players, and how he trains them and grows them and develops them and all this and that. But he has to continue growing himself and to be able to speak into that. And so I have to continue to refine, sharpen, narrow my why, narrow my focus as to if we're talking competing, if we're talking about the infinite game, what is it? You know what I'm saying? I can't play everybody's infinite game and expect to keep playing. I'm going to burn myself out. But what is that infinite game that I can play that uniquely is wired for me? So that's my current things that I'm thinking through and working through. And yeah, always good to just be able to turn the camera on and then, like Zach says, tell the truth. So till next time, peace.